Hey, hey.
Hi, 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 hi.
It's so good to see you on here.
I know. Like
Not like I never see you.
I know, but there's just something about doing this that actually just brings me a lot of joy.
I know, but can we just briefly, quickly talk about the stress of having to get ready and have to be thinking of being good from this point down and how the
Right.
light shifts and so much.
Well, and not just that, it's like I spent so much time on my hair and it's like you can't even see it. It looks so good. And but
Yeah,
that's
what do you do,
okay. I'm
right?
happy to be here anyway.
Exactly. All right, welcome to the Matt Gloss Show. I know we kind of like we went into personal stuff, but today we're going to talk about an oldie but goodie. Who 1992, Sherry?
1992. This book
The
was written
five
by
love
Gary
languages.
Chapman. Five love
Yes.
languages. But the original title was what? How to
Um, the five love languages.
No, but he had another title, right?
He had a tagline,
He had a
not a title,
tagline.
a tagline. It
Tagline.
how to express heartfelt commitment to your mate.
Your mate. Right. Okay. All right.
And this book has been it's been eye-opening. And just for the record, if you've taken and read this book years ago and you took the test, what happens? We grow and we change, and our love languages change according to the amount of healing that we do on the inside.
That's
So
right.
that's another big one. So if you've read it a long time ago, refresh it. You're with somebody new, or you have children, because this also can play into how you interact and show love to your kids. Hell, to anyone you're dealing with, your friends, your family. Um, so it is just a great read. But my friend here, Miss Sherry, aka Gloss, just took her tests and read the book, and I'm so excited to hear your thoughts and your feelings about it because I've raved about this book for years.
You have raved about this book, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And so I never ever knew the book existed.
Yeah.
I had read and I had learned about like the marriage 25 to 1 rule kind of thing, but this was
Mhm.
different. And so when you talked about it, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. You're like, you got to read it, you got to take the test. I told my husband I was doing it, and he's like, "Oh, I know what my," and I was like, "Shh, shh, shh, shh. Don't say anything.
Right. Right.
Don't say anything. I want to read this book and I want to take the test and I want to come to my own conclusions about what your love languages and mine is and just shush." Um and it was spectacular experience to read the book and take the test. It really was.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, should we reveal your answers to your quiz, or should we just talk about the five love languages and then we'll talk about our answers?
Let's talk about the love languages and then reveal our answers later.
All right. So, words of affirmation, quality time,
Yep.
physical touch, gifts, which is interesting.
If receiving
Yes, gifts. So
and
what
acts
did
of
we miss?
service.
Acts of service. Is that the five? Listen, I mean, when you think about it, you're like, okay, what I need and how I feel loved, does that really fall into those categories? And I thought, okay, I'm not a gold digger. I don't need gifts. But then, when you read and you understand what gifts all entail, there's a lot of things. But for me, gifts and acts of service kind of blend together for me. But I mean, let's just talk about it. Physical touch. And a lot of people get caught up on physical touch. And is physical touch just about sex? And it's actually not. Literally, I can relate to physical touch. And of course, that's one of mine. But just the simple walking by your mate at home or out and about and gently touching or rubbing up against them or just being close or touching them as you walk by is huge for me. And I never realized that that would be part of physical touch until I read the book. Like it was eye opening on understanding how I can communicate to my partner what I need to feel like they love me. And who would have ever thought that when you meet someone and you start to date them and you start to get to know them and you're creating a relationship, that they wouldn't automatically pick up on these small signals. But that's another part of us expecting people to read our minds or to just know. Like, we put way too much emphasis on, oh, they should know about that, or they've been around me long enough, they should know what I like. And I think it's unfair. That's why I think this book is so great, because it definitely opens up to give us some talking points to discuss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I was reading all the different love languages, I felt in all of, like, I could relate in, okay, well, maybe this is my love language. Well, maybe this is my love language, because there was aspects in every single one that I was like, wait a minute, wait. And then as I started dissecting, and when I was done, I was so confused about my own personal love language. Like, I did.
And I think that's why you have to take the test.
Right.
I think the test helps you figure that part out.
Right. And I was like, what the fuck? And so then I'm talking to John, and I'm like, so he's like, well, what do you think? I was like, well, I still don't know what my love language is. And I said, well, maybe it's words of affirmation. And he's like, no, baby, letters of,
but no, wait, no. So you did take the test.
It's not your love language. And I was like, no, but I need words of affirmation. And he's like, yes, but your love language, you give it and receive it. Like, it's supposed to be something that you give and receive. He goes, words of affirmation for you or not.
Oh, but that's big for him to tell you that, because that's him saying that you don't give out affirmations to people.
No, but I thought I did. Like,
that's interesting. But it's interesting that he would look at it from his side of receiving to say what your love language is. And I don't know if I agree with that 100%, because I feel like it should be from one perspective. It should be your own perspective. I don't know. I think, is there a couples?
There is. Where. So he has written many, many books. So right. So Gary Chapman, he wrote 5 Languages of Love for Children.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's 7 books now, and they're all like, for the soul and whatever. But to go back to the words of affirmation, and I said, no, I recognize that words of affirmation are not my forte, but I feel like when I receive words of affirmation, I feel love. So
right. That's what the book is about, is understanding your own and how you feel loved. So I think when we try to pair it with what we give to other people, that's when we can get confused. And that's where and this is what I was saying about being brutally honest when you take the test.
Right.
So that you're not worried about how you're loving someone else, because that's not what this is about. This is about how you feel loved, and then have them read the book and take the test to understand how they need to feel loved, so that you two can come together and give each other what you need. Right. Not off of what you need, what they need. And that's the difference. And I think people get confused with this, is that you need to know what your love languages are. So mine are physical touch and quality time.
Oh, wow.
But I minor in gifts and acts of service too. That's how I look at it. Exactly.
I think that there's these are all love languages that we can all relate to. It's exactly. So for me, I am acts of service, which John is as well. Which is, so like,
does that rank the highest on your list?
Acts of service is my highest. Words of affirmation is my second.
Is your second? Okay.
And then comes the quality time and the physical touch. Like, for me, it's like, I know my husband loves me. Yeah, like, I know it. And so when he tells me, it makes me feel good. When he gives me compliments, it makes me feel good. When he's just there, it makes me feel good. When he does things for me, he does all kinds of things for me, because that is his love language. As you know, he does
right.
For me.
Right.
So
but that does that rank high? Wait, what were your top 2 again?
Acts of service.
Acts of service and words of affirmation. Okay. Yeah. So he does tap into your love language on a regular. Which is phenomenal. Probably why you guys have survived for so long.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. So when at the end of the book, and this was pivotal for me, at the end of the book, it there's two questions. If you still don't know what your love language is right off the bat, so
Hmm.
far, you fall into two categories. Is that your cup is empty completely of all of these love languages because you've never received any of them, or your cup is so full because you received every single one of these that you're not
Hmm.
really sure because you've never lacked. And that's
That's
the thing.
amazing.
I was like, oh my God. Like I started crying in the car because it's like he taps into my words of affirmation. He taps into the acts of service. His number two is definitely physical touch.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he fills that cup. The quality time. Hey, you want to go somewhere? Want to go somewhere? When does he do this? So he's always wanting to do stuff together. So it's like when it comes to like it left me dumbfounded and I
Oh, that's
started to cry.
awesome.
And I'm like, okay, so wow. Okay. So here I've always like waited for the other shoe to drop in my life. And this just like 100% blew my mind that I had
Oh,
no empty cup.
that's phenomenal, Sherry. Like literally. I
It's
don't know many women who could say that,
I know.
to
I
be
know.
honest. Even people who have survived long marriages,
Yeah.
we all stay together for different reasons, but
Yeah.
to hear 20 plus years, how many? 22, did you say?
24. We've been
24
married.
years?
We've been married 24
Like
and
that's big, girl. Those are goals for us, you know?
huge, huge. And and it's like, and he frustrates the ever living fuck out of me.
I love how you say that in the same breath of
I
saying that your cups
know,
are never empty. You've never been empty. That, and
but I
then you
didn't
say
know
he
that.
frustrates the
But I
hell
didn't
out of
know
you.
that. But that's the thing. I didn't know that. I was not
Girl.
aware of that. So,
Oh my gosh.
it's
Wow.
it's fucking weird.
Mm. Well, I think for me, I realized throughout the book that that paying attention to gifts and I was always that person. No, 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 no. You don't need to buy me anything. No, no. I'm not that gold digger. I feel like that piece kind of sunk in for me, and I'm like, I do like gifts. I do like to receive thoughtful things that people think that I would like, or when you go out of your way to do something nice for someone. And I think what I've learned over the years is when you don't like to receive or you're embarrassed to receive gifts, when you push them off and you're like, no, no, don't, you can't, don't buy me this, don't get me that, don't this. There's something deep down inside where you feel like you don't deserve
I don't deserve it.
that you don't deserve the gift. Also, with a compliment, when someone gives you compliments and how you receive the compliment, do you tear the compliment down? Do you
Yeah.
discount the compliment? And I've learned in the past, I would say past 10 years, that that's also a sign of how healthy you are on the inside and how you view yourself on the inside.
Mhm.
Are you worthy of that compliment? Do you look good in that dress? Is your hair beautiful? Do you love, do you value the money you put into your outfit or your clothes or the time to take care of yourself? Like these are big things. And that's why I was saying you can reread this book at a different part in time in your life and be in a different and a more healthier place with yourself and your self-healing, to read the book and take the test and it be different. Your love languages change. And also I feel like they change with the partner. So like my last relationship is going to be very different in the next relationship because of the amount of growth that is going to happen between the two and the amount of work and effort and the self introspection I put in myself going forward. So I can't wait to introduce this book to the next person. Hopefully they've already read it. Hopefully they know their love languages, like that's
I
big.
I decided that I'm going to buy this book for all three of
Family.
my kids. So they're
Nice.
all getting it, and they're getting it, because it's like it's been an eye opener. And I think that if I had read this book, I want to say 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had the same response to it, I think.
See the
Right?
amount of growth that has happened in your
Yeah.
life.
But
Yeah.
that's because also it's like I've learned how to speak my own love language to myself. Like
Mm.
that's the most important thing that I think I've taken away from this is that
Mm.
by doing acts of service for myself, to take care of myself, and to make sure that I'm taken care of, I will continue to do acts of service for others because it starts with me. I have to love me enough. And if I can't love this and I can't give this its own love language, well, then what am I doing out there?
Mm. Absolutely.
So
A
that's
hundred
that's
percent.
it's a big this has been a really freaking awesome book. But I went further on the test. I took yet another test where it it also spoke about what kind of sophisticated acts of love or what it just goes on. It goes on in terms of like, all these different like your love style, your what's
Now,
the
who is this by?
this is it's all in the same, it's lovetest.org. And it's like how much your love is investment, affectionate, cherishing, providing, how much
Mm.
is intimacy, how much is like the sophisticated love, which is like, it's not raunchy, it's just very docile, very, I don't know, whatever. But it's kind of cool. So
Oh, we'll have to put that one up too. That's not by Gary Chapman, right? That's something
yeah,
different.
lovetest.org is one that it was,
Mhm.
I thought it was great. So
Yes.
um it's crazy. So, like, I was talking to my daughter about this because and she's like, "Oh yeah, I did that in HR," because she's in HR. She's like, "Oh yeah, we
Mhm.
did that, as a training, whatever, whatever." And I was like, "So what's yours?" And she's like, "Duh, gifts." I was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." It's like you forget,
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
just I was like, "No, of course, my daughter is absolutely gifts, 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 gifts." And then of course her beau steps up. He goes, "Yeah, uh huh, it's gifts."
I love it.
He's
My
like
daughter is
he
gifts
goes,
as
"And I
well.
hear about it all the time."
I can imagine. I can imagine. Bella's the same way, gifts and acts of service
Mhm.
and quality time. Her acts of service and quality time probably hit right about the same. So I think it's an eye opener. And when you figure that out, like you can really change how you interact with your loved ones. My mother used to always buy me gifts for Christmas, and I love her for that. Absolutely, that was big. We talked about that on the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
But I would say, Mom, some of these things aren't something that I would like. And like, so we had a couple of years where we would re-gift gifts that we didn't like back to each other. And and that would be like our little funny tradition. And, it would be like a side gift. It wouldn't be the main gift. But I think that helped me understand that you have to buy people what you think they want, not what you think they what it should have. And I think that's another big thing. I learned that in a previous relationship I did some acts of services for their birthday. And after it was all said and done, the elaborate acts of service were said and done, they said to me, uh, oh, I would have rather just had a gift card. And
Right.
it was like a huge hit to me because I did and went above and beyond for this situation and like spent thousands of dollars. And they had a great time and it was an awesome event. But at the end, when we, recapped and went back over it, that's what they said. They would have rather had a gift card. And it hit me hard. And I
That wasn't their
realized
love language. That was
exactly that was not their love language. Exactly. So I think this is important. And what's the point of spinning your wheels when you don't have to if you understand who you're dealing with
yeah,
and how they feel loved and what's important. So there have been a few eye-opening moments where I'm like, okay, from my mom to exes and different things that just drive home the value of this book and how important it is that
right.
you read it and understand it and get a grasp on yours so that you can inform people going forward so that they don't have to
Absolutely.
read your mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Now here's the question. So on your dating days and on your dating journey,
Mhm.
are you going to have your potential dates read this book and find
Yes,
how are you
hopefully
going to
they've
find their love?
already read it.
Hmm?
Hopefully they've already read it. That would be the goal. That would be a sign for me that they're in tune with themselves. These are the things you start looking at flags, is this yellow flag, red flag, oh no, yes, green flag, whatever. And someone who's had therapy, who's done the work, or who has had extensive reading on how to, take care of themselves, how to fill their own cups, like we just talked about, like that's shit's super important. So if this is something that they've done, oh yeah, I'm familiar with the five love languages, this, and this, because it's been popular. And they did a whole, I mean, this is a book 1992, Sherry. Like I've been
1992.
yes, I've been seeing this book along the ways, and I'm hoping and praying that the next man that comes to me, he is fully versed so that we can have a conversation, because I'm getting too old to be mind reading. Those days are over. I'm over
Girl.
it.
Girl, I
Over it.
mean, yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, look, John and we've been together for, fucking an eon and a day, and we still can't read each other's minds. Like,
Of
no,
course. Of
no,
course
that's
not.
just never gonna happen.
Exactly.
He is a dyke. I mean, he's an enigma. He's an enigma, that one. Um, but this, I'm really freaking pumped about everybody reading this book,
Hmm.
because I feel like this book is not just about like a relationship between two people. This is a relationship between a mother and a child. This is a
Hmm.
relationship between a mother and a mother. Like,
Hmm.
by reading this book, I'm like,
Hmm.
oh shit, have I been speaking my mother's language wrong this whole time?
Could have been. Do you think she'll read the book? Do you think she'd be open to that?
No, no. I
No.
mean, look, here's the thing. Like, my mother is a well-read woman. She reads everything under the sun.
Hmm.
The thing about my mother is that she's not going to sit there and try to figure out somebody else's love language. She's not, because she's not going to invest that in anybody,
Hmm.
right?
But the
So,
book is about learning your own.
right, right. But
And that usually comes with mutual respect, understanding that other people have their own.
that's
And
correct.
you're saying that she's not going to respect what other people's love languages are.
No, or what she's going to do is she's going to take your love language and tell you why she always knew it was your love language. She's going to claim, like, see, I always knew that you were this person.
Great. Now that you know, so whether or not she tries to take credit for it or not, who cares? As long as she understands, hey, mom, by the way, mine are da 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 da.
So yeah, so I might. So I have, I'm putting together my mom and my dad's Christmas gifts together thing.
Hmm.
And so like this book is going to go into that, I think.
That's awesome, Sherry.
It's,
That's
it's these
awesome.
two. I mean, look, it's never too late to learn your spouse's love language. And they've been married
Oh,
since
hello.
1980, 81,
Oh,
81,
wow.
1980, 81. So
Hmm.
they've been together
Over
way.
40 years. Yeah. Oh
But
my
so
gosh.
it's like, but what, I don't see why they can't learn this and then maybe spend the next time that they have together in bliss. Like, why not?
Good luck with that. You never know. You never know. What they do in private, you never know. You never know. They may have already read it. They may already know about it. That doesn't mean they're implementing it.
No
That's hard.
way.
That's
No
hard.
way.
That's hard because
No
you
way.
never know.
I mean, I'm just telling you, no way. I know that they have not read this book. No way.
I love it. My parents, I know they never read it. Probably I also feel like couples that are together forever are like, what's the point? Well, we're not going nowhere. What's the point? It's worked this far. What's the point? But I think there's value in this
But that is
because
something
you have to keep learning.
but that's
Hmm.
something that I'm familiar with. You just stay in this marriage and it's painful to watch. It's painful to
Hmm.
watch
Hmm.
because those two people are miserable.
Yeah,
Really
right.
fucking miserable. You wake up every single day and you're miserable. What
And
the
this could be the game
hell?
changer. You never know. So we definitely we ask people to go out, find the book, order the book. It's a quick read. I
Mhm.
mean, if you're an avid reader, it take a couple of hours and it's done. I mean, for me, it took a couple of days because I had to put it down because I was like, wow, okay, wait a minute. I need to really think about this. What do I like? And so I read half of it one day and the other half like 2 days later after processing it, going, wow, okay, this is the part where I have to be really honest with myself about what I need and what I like. And just in that time of going, okay, do I like gifts? It's okay for me to like gifts. Do I really
Yeah.
like when people do things for me? Is that really important? Like, it really made you really do some self-reflection to understand what your needs are without the stigmatisms and without the name calling
Correct.
for these things. Because words of affirmation, people are like, oh, you just need a compliment, you're fishing for a compliment
Right.
and
No, and
stuff
see
like that. And it's not that. It is literally, and I'm sure it's how we're formed as from birth and from young children. These things are created in us, and that's why it's important to take the test later in life, because you've evolved and changed. But there's nothing wrong with these things and you needing these things or feeling love from receiving these things. But I do see we're getting close down to time, so
no,
maybe we should pick up and do a part two, Sherry, on
I
this.
think we should. I think we should because this is a topic that just like I said, it's an abyss. You can
Yes,
dive down in this
we
and there
keep
is
going.
so much that you can take from it, that you can learn
Mhm.
from, that you can implement for
Absolutely.
your edification, for your life, for your happiness, for your joy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great. So
All right,
maybe
guys,
we'll do a part
please.
two.
Yes, we're going to do a part two. The
Fair.
next episode, we'll wrap this up and finish it. And thanks for tuning in as always. We
Uh,
enjoy seeing everybody.
Speak
Till
our
next
love
time.
language. Talk to
Yes.
us.
Yes. Let us know what your love languages are in the bottom or any comments, thoughts. We appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah.